You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's topic is how to better judge reality for optimal health. What does it mean to be truly mindful? But not in the sense of being in your head and disconnected. How can we tell the difference when it comes to a fake story? What is gut feel, and how can we cultivate it better? The fear of the unknown or being entrapped by deceit causes a lot of anxiety in people, as they may so much want to believe a story, but in doing so it may be harmful and not supportive of their health and well-being. My special guest today is Brian Berneman, who has a background in neuroscience with more than 15 years of teaching experience and is able to synthesize modern scientific knowledge with ancient wisdom, including Tibetan Buddhism, yoga, and meditation. So welcome aboard, Brian. Lovely to have you on the Body Charge podcast.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to take the time and to connect.
Yes, and that's what this podcast is all about, connecting. And we find, I think, in the extra technology coming into the world so fast and so swiftly, so people are becoming more disconnected with the experience of their reality. So how is it that people become not only disconnected with others in relationships, but disconnected with even their own bodies?
Yeah, I think that, I'm seeing this a lot at university with my students or in my work, just in general. But as well, I know it from my own experience. When I was growing up, I didn't realize how disconnected I was until I started to do some of the practices that luckily really supported me to reconnect and to be able to actually feel and be in my body with my experience. So I understand it firsthand how it is that we get to that place. And I think that one part of that is our system. The system that we have is set up for disconnection. It's set up for disempowerment. It's set up so that we are living a very individualistic life, and through that we are very head or mind oriented. So that allows us to get disconnected, as well as the other big part of it, which is a big part of my work, which is trauma. We all have trauma that we are carrying based on our own experience or the experience of our ancestors. So with that comes a lot of different mechanisms of survival. And a lot of those mechanisms are actually about disconnecting from our experience because it can be too much, too overwhelming, too sad, or whatever it is that our experience that we're carrying. So therefore, one of the mechanisms is to dissociate or to disconnect, to shut
Just
down, to
crawl back into
repress.
crawl back into your shell and close the door,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and like I think that we need to understand what is and not judge it. And of course, the way that our society, as I said, like is set up at the moment, it's not even conducive to looking at those things because most of us, we are not taught anything about how to be humans, about connection both with ourselves, with others, with our environment. We are not taught about our nervous system, our brain, our body, our feelings. There's so many things that we don't learn at school. And those, of course, are things that are preventing us from experiencing a change.
Yes, I think too, there's this difference between the reality we physically experience through our body, and then there's the imagined reality. So our imagination fills in the gaps, and now we have too many gaps where imagination is moving in, and we fall prone to more and more stories that are not related to actual physical experience. So this is anti-science in a way, isn't it? It's more and more believe this is true because they said so, but you don't have a physical, personal experience of that belief. Is it true? Is it not true? And so it's easier for people to be led astray, isn't it? And, then you have something that doesn't work, the promise wasn't kept. How could you fall into that trap? How could you think this was real and then it turned out to not be real? And then that's the trauma, isn't it? The trauma of feeling abandoned, feeling betrayed, feeling like a fool. How could you buy that story? So, how do people learn from those experiences so that they have a better grasp of what's real? And how do we use the body's physical experiences to be able to judge uh, with that gut feel, if you like?
Hmm. Well, I think that from what you're saying, there's a couple of things, Sandy, there, because what I think that let's go back to one of the things that you were saying about what's real and what's not. That's a very hard thing to to
It's
decide,
subjective,
like
yes.
because and this is one of the amazing things about our body. Like whatever we are imagining is real. It might not be real in the same sense as the material reality, but in a sense, it is real because we could look at the material reality from a different perspective and say also that's not real. So, reality takes a lot of different shapes and forms and perspectives, but as well, our perception, which is what we imagine, our imagination, both allows us to either create those stories that are going to keep us trapped, that are going to keep us small, that are going to keep us in that place of only survival, or we can use the same imagination power to create something different, something new, something that is actually supportive of our well being. So that is the first thing around the reality. And then, of course, there is the reconnecting with our body. As most of us are living just in our heads, we are not actually experiencing our reality or our experience of life with all of our tools. So when I was able to reconnect with my physical body and I started to notice the feelings and sensations and I started to notice the energy moving, that is what led me to be able to get a better understanding of what was happening in my experience and therefore not only have everything through the lens of my brain, I can also use the lens of the body's wisdom. And the body's wisdom is not better or worse than the mind, it's just another perspective. So a lot of times, and I know this, in different languages, we have sayings like go with your gut or follow your heart. There's a reason why those are saying. It's not
The body is
random.
a brain itself, isn't it? Every
Exactly.
cell has programs and
Yes.
its own um, app, if you like, of what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, so when we are just using the brain, we're not using all of our intelligence and wisdom. So when we're able to reconnect with the body, then it's easier. Now, of course, just like with anything that we need to create a change, what needs to happen is we need to unlearn a lot of things that have been programmed, as you're saying. Every cell, every organ, every aspect of our cell has a certain software that was put into there. So now we need to, in a sense, unlearn all of that program and put a new one. So
We
it's
need to update.
sometimes it's an update and sometimes it's a delete
Yeah,
and create from scratch.
reinstall. Yeah,
Yeah, so
a
this is
reboot.
why a lot of times like the healing processes are so important and also creating something new, choosing something different, being able to actually understand, like if I am erasing the program in my phone, I need to put something new for it to actually work. If not, it's more likely that it's not going to function. So we need to be able to reconnect with the body's wisdom to then be able to understand what is my mind saying, what is my body saying, and the different parts of my body. Because a lot of people really struggle to actually follow what we call intuition, which that intuition is usually the body's wisdom.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that if we don't know how does the body speak.
Yes.
So, like
And it's
I
hard
tell a
to
lot of
know.
times,
Yeah, it's hard to know sometimes the difference between is that my imagination or is that part of my body trying to give me a message, trying to tell me something? How do we interpret or how do we make a decision? Is that just, I made it up or is it something real?
yeah, and there's a lot of different things that I can, that I've seen through the years. One of the biggest things that I tell a lot of times to people is, I see a lot of my students or clients that through the years they say like, like I've seen that I need to, to start to trust my intuition or things like that. I'm like, well, yes, but if you don't know how they speak, then you cannot trust what is showing up for you as much. So there is ways, of course, to reconnect, to get more acquainted with our body, with the feelings, because the body speaks mostly in feelings. It
It's
doesn't speak so much
it
in
speaks.
words.
It's a language though. And that's a really good
Yes.
analogy, isn't it? You have to learn that language.
Exactly. So we need to understand that, and then we need to understand that it's not about not listening to the mind. The mind as well, it's amazing and it has a lot of programs that are really helpful, even the ones that we seemingly think that are negative or that are really judging. Those are there as survival mechanisms. So we need to understand and take the time, something that unfortunately in our society we don't do much,
Mm.
is actually take the time to reflect and to go inside and to notice, to allow, to give space so that then the different parts can actually start to speak to us. And then we need to start listening and we need to refine that so that we can discern, is this my mind? Is this coming from fear? Is this coming from a trauma response? Or is this actually the wisdom of my body and what it is that actually feels like the right direction?
Yes, are you really in danger? Or, as you said, is it a ghost of an old memory of something bad that happened in the past? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that takes a bit of practice, doesn't it? We have to practice to, as you said, notice the signals. So are these signals, what are they saying? What's the language? So you've used processes of meditation, for instance, to learn to notice what the body's saying to you and how to interpret that. So how does that work?
Yeah. One of the things that I often say to people is meditation or any mindfulness practices, we need to find the ones that we resonate with because there's so many different ones. I usually say meditation is all about, at its core, meditation is all about being present and being aware. And then there's different techniques that are going to be supportive for each of us. So we need to find that technique or that methodology or that discipline or tradition that we feel drawn to, and then we actually need to practice.
Yes.
That's literally it. And it might be that it takes us a few months to realize some things. It might be that it takes us a few years to realize some things. I I tend to focus more on the process than the goal or the objective at the end, because if not, the impatience will actually not allow
Yes.
us to stay the course and to actually practice and to sit and to do things in a way that are going to end up being supportive.
Yes, what I found in meditation is that it helps us feel very calm and relaxed. And that's when the doors open to better intuition, to creativity, to just seeing everything more clearly, getting answers to questions. And it doesn't happen when the adrenaline response is there and we're in fight or flight and we have to get away. So that part of the brain tends to shut down. So when you say focus on the process, get calm first see,
Sometimes,
yeah, help
sometimes
your
yes,
body to
sometimes yes. Although for a lot of people, when they are starting to practice meditation, I encourage them to notice. Regardless of finding calm or not, it's about noticing. Because I have seen through the years a lot of people that get frustrated or don't actually keep on practicing because they don't get to that place of feeling calm like quite quickly, so therefore they stop practicing. So my encouragement a lot of times is just notice with openness whatever it is that is coming up. If it's nervous feelings, notice those
Yes,
nervous feelings. Is it
yes.
calm? If it's calming, wonderful. If it is a lot of thoughts, just notice the thoughts. If it's a lot of negativity, notice that negativity. That is how we train, in a sense, the muscle of noticing. And with time, hopefully we get, as you're saying, to that place of feeling calm. But we need to understand a lot of times, in the brain that we have these different parts like the prefrontal cortex, we have the amygdala, we have the hippocampus, we have so many different parts that they are all doing their job in a way that they are going to try to keep us alive. And therefore, there's the part of us that is going to, like feel all of the time like, that we're in danger because that is what we have learned. Most of us in our experience in life, we feel that we are in danger
Like the
because we
like the
have,
deer, the deer in the forest, that quick twitch muscle, that quick flight. We have to get away
yes.
from the predators.
Yeah, and for some people, instead of running away, they freeze or they, like they fight, depending on our reaction, how we do that. But it is important to understand that our tendency is going to be for our brain to be looking for danger and to also, based on our trauma or our ancestral trauma, get to understand how many situations, even though they are not dangerous, we still feel the danger. And that is what creates the chronic stress because it's, like we keep on being overstimulated, we keep on getting overexcited, we see danger everywhere.
We
And
can't
so the
switch
brain is
off.
sending, yeah, and the brain is keep on sending signals between itself and to the body all of the time for different things to do. So, it's
It's a
like,
merry-go-round.
yeah, and all of the neurons are firing all of the time. So a lot of times it's about being able to understand, like, when we are in that state, we are not going to be able to think clearly. We're not going to be able to feel safe enough to relax and to notice. We are not going to be able to respond to life. We're going to keep on reacting to
We
life.
we wear
Um,
ourselves out.
yeah, and
Yeah.
this is what leads a lot of times to burnout to
Mhm.
people, or it leads to depression, or it leads to so many different things that
So many
nowadays we are seeing.
diseases come from stress. I know in my
Yeah.
own business, Elektra Magnesium, so we make transdermal magnesium products. We lose magnesium excessively under stress. It's a very big problem today, and we need to put a lot back to compensate for that extra magnesium that's lost. So we need to feel calm and we need to rest in order to recover because that's when the body's systems of detoxing, of building new cells, all of those processes happen during calmness, during rest, during
Mm.
good sleep at night. And if we
Yeah.
don't get that, if we're constantly on that treadmill of stress and anxiety, the body never gets a chance. We scrape the bottom of the barrel, we wear out our resources, we can't recover very well. It's a downward spiral. And
Yeah.
then you move into disease. You don't want to do that. We're all about avoiding that pathway.
Well, my approach is the preventative approach. But the good news, and this is what I say to a lot of my clients, the good news is that our experience is flexible. Our brain is flexible. The neural pathways are flexible. They're adaptable. Like when we're able to decide, it doesn't matter when. I have worked with people that are young. I have worked with people that are, like 80 years old, and this is the first time that they start doing something like this. It doesn't matter when we're starting, we can always change. That is the good news because with practice, we start to notice more of our experience of what's around us. We start to, get into the rhythm, and we start to notice that our body, for each of us, it has an amazing capacity to self-regulate, to heal itself. It's an amazing vehicle, and all that we need to do is to decide to do something different. We need to decide to stop and to be able to see, is this working? Is this not working? What is possible? And a
Which
lot of
depends on the
times,
feedback. It's the feedback loop, isn't it? You need that information. The data comes from the body.
yeah, I'm from the experience around, because for those of us that we don't have anyone around us modeling what it's like to be, self-regulated, what it's like to have moments of calmness, what it's like to live life with good rhythm, what it's like to rest, what it's like to not be stressed. It is much more challenging because we don't have anyone modeling that. But when we're able to see people that are able to live that way, then we're like, oh, wait, I want some of that. I want to not be stressed all of the time. I want to be able to be happy and energetic and vibrant.
Yes, it isn't that the imagination then kicking in, going, well, if they do this and experience that, then the imagination says, maybe I can too. So then you're creating a different scenario in the brain. And this is how to use imagination. So for thousands of years, traditional societies have been telling stories, and they tell stories where there's an adventure, there's something bad that happens, there's a trauma. Then something good happens to correct that. And then we have a resolution. And this is the basic pattern of the story. And so those stories take people and children through emotions of fear, but also give them the resolution all via the imagination. And what that does is it teaches, it establishes a pattern of these emotions are there, they're temporary, there's a resolution, and then we can feel good at the end, and then we can rest and recover. So when you mention cycles, that's what brought it to my mind, that this is a
Mm.
normal cycle that shouldn't get stuck in one position.
Yeah, and that hero's journey, it's important to understand it because we're all the hero of our own story. Like this is one of the things that I say on the first class when my students every semester, like I tell them, you are number one. You are the most important person in your life. No one else is the most important person in your life. They can be super important. I'm not saying that others aren't important. Each of us are the main character of our movie. And this is the important thing to understand. We are all going to go through a hero's journey. We all have the capacities, we all have the tools in the toolkit. Perhaps we don't know that we have them, but we all have that capacity. We are all resilient people. We are all amazing beings with amazing power to be strong, to be able to go through life and its challenges, to be able to be in conflict, to be able to be in challenges, to be able to go through a lot of different things and still be able to keep on
Resolve it.
going and being well.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not just about resolving, it's just about navigating life.
yeah,
That is the biggest thing. The more that we are able to understand how to navigate life with
yeah.
all of its cycles, with all of its up and downs,
Because it's never
then that
perfect.
is the way.
People
Well, in a
often
sense,
say,
it
oh, well,
is.
shit happens.
Like
To move
what's
on.
perfect?
Yeah.
Like that's a big question, but life is life, and whatever it is that is happening, if we have the tools to navigate it and we are present and we are aware and we are like, okay, this is what's happening, then we're able to navigate it much more easy.
You
This
can
is
go to your
why
toolbox.
yeah, this is why when we are in, like in relationships or with friendships or at work and there's conflict, when we're able to actually be aware and present in that moment, we won't keep on escalating it. We will
Yes.
just diffuse that and actually find solutions.
And not be
So
reactive, because reaction in that equal heat just makes it all worse.
yeah, but that's the thing. If we are in a sense still unaware and disconnected, we are going to be reactive because that is how we have been functioning
It's
and what we have learned.
mindless
Yeah, well, not
instead of
mindful.
mindful, not mindful.
Yeah, it's not being able to be present and aware enough to choose. So our system is choosing for
Yeah,
us instead of us choosing.
I
And this
like
is
that.
one of the
Choose.
things.
A
Yeah,
good
this is one
word.
of the things that I want people a lot of time to, reclaim their power
Yes.
to choose
And
and to
not
be.
feel trapped. Yeah, not feel like a victim, not feel disempowered. They need to feel like they're the hero and they've conquered the problem, whatever it may have been.
Yeah, and to look back at their life and to realize how much they have survived
Yeah.
already, even without practicing with a lot of tools on their toolkit, they have already survived so much. So, like a lot of times, we have a tendency to look at the negative things instead of looking at
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
positive things that we have
True.
already endured.
We need to pat ourselves on the back that we got through stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then we can choose. And then we can choose.
Yeah, and it's part of the learning curve, isn't it? You know, when a toddler learns to walk, they fall over a few times. Eventually they learn not what not to do, right? So
Yeah.
we're as adults doing the
And
same in life.
yeah. And it's about not comparing. Some babies start, walking at a certain time, other babies start walking later in terms of relative time. It's like I see this so much. We have so much that we look at others and we compare ourselves and we're like, that person made so much more money by this time and I am not. And it's like, well, their life is their life and your life is your life. Look at your own life path. Yes, get inspiration from people, get inspiration from stories, get inspiration from so many things, but do not compare because we're all different. We're all carrying something different. We're all experiencing something different.
Yeah.
So the more that we're able to understand that, the easier it is to just be us and to be compassionate with ourselves as well as with others.
Yes, be kind to yourself. And this is important not to compare. And that's why we need to learn the tools to tap into the body and the body's needs and the body's wisdom, because we are individuals, very unique. And certain activities in life, the way we lead life, will make us very happy. One man's bread is another man's poison. Like, we're not all the same. What you need to do, what every individual needs to do, is learn how to tap into that inner wisdom. What is it I need to do to be happy in my life? I may just like to go camping or fishing, or I may want to be CEO of a big company because I have a lot of good work to do and provide a lot of jobs for people. And so everyone has a different mission, don't they? And
Yeah,
not one mission is better than another mission. They're just different missions, and
yeah,
they'll contribute.
yeah. And and I think that I don't know what will happen in the next few years with all of the advancements in technology and AI. There's some sides that I know that it's going to be quite challenging. And also, there's things that it might be actually interesting because if this technology is doing a lot of the work that now humans are doing, then potentially we're going to have time to be humans and not to be
Meditate more.
working.
Woohoo!
Yeah, or do, like be outside in nature or to
Yep.
be with our families, be parents, being grandparents, being children.
Yeah.
Like
Grow some
there's so many
plants.
different things that could happen
Yeah.
with,
Take up
of
a
course,
craft. Read some
yes,
more books.
with
Do things that
challenges.
you didn't have time to do before because you're on that treadmill. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a good way to look forward to something positive rather than all the negatives coming out. And I think the key to stay on the good path is that mindfulness aspect, because, there's a field of different possibilities and technology can go in many directions. But if we close a blind eye and we don't watch and we don't look, that's where the potholes come. That's where we fall into the mess. But
Mhm.
if we go with eyes open, with mindfulness, that our inner eye, I mean, as well, through
Yeah.
meditation, we can make better decisions and we can choose better. And
Yeah.
then, it works better for everyone as a collective, even. Even though we're doing things individually for ourselves, the collective benefits from that process.
Yeah. I often say to a lot of my clients, we do our own work and healing work and mindfulness work individually, but it's not an individual experience. It's a shared experience. If I and you, we are practicing, we are doing things differently, then the people around us will see that. That has a ripple effect to the people around us. And that keeps on going. So, like even though we are doing a lot of things as individuals because we're all unique, so we all need to find our own thing to how to change and to be able to become much more aware, then that is a collective experience. It's not
Yes.
an individual experience.
Yes, it's wonderful. Everyone wins. I like those scenarios. So we're coming to an end of our podcast, and I'm sure it's going to have a very positive ripple effect out there. How can people connect with you if they want to find out more or read what you've got?
Yeah, thank you, Sandy, for that. So through my name, Brian Berneman, they can go to brianberneman.com or at Brian Berneman on Instagram, Facebook, the Conscious Action Podcast. That's my podcast as well, so they can check that out. The Conscious Integration movie, that's a film that I made recently, and Conscious Moments, the platform for all of my online programs. But if people are resonating with something that I'm saying, they can just send a message, connect, and then see from there how it is that I might be of support to them. And if not, I might be able to direct them to someone that might be.
Yes, one step at a time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandy, for the time and for sharing. And thank you, everyone, for being there and for listening.
I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.